Hey guys, back onto the videos. I decided that I won't be going back and doing the ones that I've missed, because this is a bonus anyway. Been putting in a lot of effort, but only getting some stuff back from some people, so I'm going to do really major ones now. I figure the start of loans would be a good time to do one, reducing balance loans, because you're going to be doing this similar stuff over and over again until the end, basically, of this topic. So reducing balance loans, why is this needed? Well, people tend not to have large amounts of money to spend in one go. Okay, you may save up a lot of money to spend on stuff, but the majority of the time, especially when you are looking to get a loan for something, it's going to be for a car or a house, so you're not going to have that much cash just laying around. So loans have been developed to allow people to purchase really expensive items like cars and houses. Loans allow ordinary people to borrow large amounts of money, which they can use to spend on those things, but then they pay that money that they borrowed back with manageable and small repayments regularly until that money has been paid back. But as we've discussed before, life is not all sunshine and rainbows. Okay, the money is not freely loaned out to people. They charge interest. Interest is the charge for the use of money. Okay, so in all loans, there's an interest charge associated with that. And in truth, in reality, okay, by the time most people pay back their home loan or the car loan, they're probably going to have paid more in interest than the actual money they borrowed in the first place. So say you borrowed $100,000 for a house. In actual fact, in reality, depending on the setup of the stuff, if you've sort of adopted a normal sort of home loan setup, you're probably going to end up spending more than $100,000 in interest alone. So you're going to be paying more than $200,000 back over the lifetime of that loan. Now, loans work much like present value annuities, except the negatives and positives are switched a little bit. PV is going to be positive. Why is that? Because you're being given a lump sum of money at the start. It's going to you, coming from the bank, and that's the money you're paying back. So the principal is the initial borrowed amount. PMT is going to be negative because you are making payments into the account, back into the bank, to pay back that lump sum you borrowed in the first place and the interest that they're charging you. And finally, FV is going to be 0, the same as a present value annuity, because you're going to be paying the regular repayments back to the bank until you don't owe any more money or interest. Okay, so it's the PV and PMT signs that are switched around from a normal present value annuity. So it works like one, but just remember that PV is positive, PMT is negative for reducing balance loans. Now, what is this I'm talking about? I'm talking about loans and reducing balance loans. They're the same thing. They're known as reducing balance loans, if you want to say the full name, because the PV, the money that you borrowed at the start, is constantly being reduced by the regular payments to the bank. And so interest is calculated as a percentage of that ever-reducing PV. And so that's why they call it a reducing balance. The balance that you owe, interest, and the amount you borrowed at the start is always reducing until it gets to 0. And then one final point. Also, unlike present value annuities that we've done previously, payments are made at the end of each period. So PMT end begin, that little setting right at the end of your TVM solver, that should be set back to end, as we've done for pretty much everything else in this topic. So only for present value annuities, or unless the question specifically says, will you be playing around with this and changing it to begin. Everything else for this topic, including the loans, PMT, is at the end. So let's get to an example then. Taking out a $1,000 loan, 12% per annum interest rate, interest charged monthly, and you're paying the repayments monthly. What would the repayments be if you're going to do this over a year? So loans always have a loan term. Okay, you need to make sure of that so you know what your N is going to be for the question, unless you're actually trying to find what the loan term is going to be. So for this question, It's a TVM solver question. There's an N, there's an I, PV, PMT, FV, PMT. We already know we're solving for that, so might as well put a star there. FV, PY, and CY. So like all of the questions in this topic that you're using the calculator for, you just put in all of the details that you know and solve for the starred one, and by pressing alpha enter on your calculator. So percentage for I, well, the question says it's 12% per annum, so that's straight up. We already know that you don't need to put the percent in your calculator. I just do it there. PV, what is the amount that is being borrowed? It's 1,000. What did we say PV is for loans? PV is positive, so it's going to be positive for 1,000. FV, well, we said like present value annuities, you're making repayments until FV is 0, so that stays there. And then payments per year and compounds per year. Well, it's interest is being charged monthly, so it's compounding per month. It's 12 months a year, and you're making the repayments at the same sort of constancy, so that's going to be 12 as well. If it's going to be for 1 year in a year, and the compounding is happening monthly, well, N is going to be 12 as well. Remember, N is based on CY, unless PY and CY are different, then it will be based on PY. Here they're the same, like that, so N is just going to be based on PY. And so finally we've got everything in there, and if I do alpha enter and solve for PMT, I get negative $88.85 to 2dp. So the answer to that question would be monthly repayments would be $88.85 for that year. So that is a basic method for how you would handle a loans question. Obviously you could be asked to solve for I, given all the other information, or solve for how much you borrowed in the first place. You could be asked to solve for pretty much any of these 4 things, alright? But as I've said before, the calculator makes it very easy. So that is that, and I'll see you on the next video.